welcome back to my channel. As you can probably tell from the title, today I'm going to be sharing with you how I saved $50,000 in 1 year. Just a little side note, obviously the $50,000 I was able to save because of my incomes. This may vary depending on your income as well. I'm going to be dividing this video into two parts. Part 1 is going to have 3 steps and then part 2 is going to have 5 steps for you to follow. Part 1, step 1 is to calculate your total earnings. Step 2 is to work out what your total expenses are. Anything like rent, food, water, electricity, whatever your expenses are, calculate them and put them aside as well. Step number 3, how much of the leftover money do you want to put towards your savings, and then how much do you want to put towards your spending as well. I've made an example calculation just for the sake of the video. So say in a week you're earning $1,000, $400 goes towards your expenses, so anything like rent, food, whatever. Then you have $400 that you want to put towards your savings, and then $200 which is going to be your spending money. I think it's really important, and I know that it's helped me to set aside a certain amount of money that you want to put towards your savings every single week or every single month or whenever you get paid, because otherwise that $400 and that $200 spending money just becomes $600 that you will just end up doing whatever you want with. And yes, that's good because you have more money to spend, but at the same time then you're not going to be saving anywhere near as much money. This brings us to part 2. I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips to help you save as much money as possible, which has helped me save $50,000 in 1 year. Tip number 1 is find a side hustle. So probably about maybe 6 months to a year after I started working full time, I found a side hustle which was hiring out my clothes. When I first started earning my full-time income, which I wasn't used to, I was spending so much money on clothes and designer bags and belts and everything, and it was not very good for my savings, so I started hiring out my clothes. I was buying so many Camilla dresses and Zimmermann dresses, and they're not cheap. I think they're about $500 per dress, or they were at the time. I haven't really bought any in a while. So I was hiring them out for $50 per hire, and it got to a point where I'd actually made my money back on the dresses. So if I had a dress that I bought for $500 and I was hiring it for $50, it got to a point where that dress was making, or had made me $700. So I was at a $200 profit from when I first bought the dress. So then I started putting this money towards my spending money, and all of my full-time income was going straight towards my savings and my expenses. But at the time, I didn't really have any expenses because I was living at home. So my whole earnings was going straight into my bank account, and I was using my hire money as my spending money. Then about a year later, I also started selling my jewelry. And at the time I was just selling it through Facebook, so I was advertising what I had available on Facebook, then messaging the person to meet up, and I would drop it off to them because I was living in Adelaide still, so it was a lot easier to do that then. And then I was using that money as well to go towards my spending, but it got to a point where I wasn't spending as much money as what I was making from my hire and my jewelry, so I was also putting more of that money towards my savings as well. But then I moved to Melbourne. So when I moved to Melbourne, it made it a little bit harder to drop off and pick up jewelry. So then I launched my website. So on my website, I was hiring out clothes and selling jewelry and accessories. So I was able to do that as well while I was living in Melbourne. When I moved to Melbourne, I found that a lot of the hires sort of dropped off and I wasn't hiring as much, but my jewelry picked up. So then I shifted my focus onto my jewelry. And because I was going to be moving to Melbourne and paying for rent and food and electricity and everything here, it wasn't good enough for me to just be earning my salary from my full-time job and that be it, and then that money go towards my savings and towards my rent and stuff. So I wanted to put more and more focus onto my jewelry so that it would cover the cost of rent and everything, which it did. And now I'm completely running my online jewelry business full-time. Tip number 2 is to swap going out for staying in. So if you do want to catch up with your friends and they message you and they want to go out somewhere, maybe just ask them instead to come to your house, and you can have some wine and some cheese and some crackers and have a nice night in instead. It's a very nice way to still catch up with your friends without spending as much money. Tip number 3 is to swap a meal for a drink when you do go out. So if you do want to catch up with your friends and go out, instead of going out for breakfast, maybe go out for a coffee. And instead of going out for dinner, you can go out for drinks instead. You're going to be saving a lot more money by doing this. Tip number 4, set yourself goals within time frames. So in 3 months time, how much money do you want to have saved? Same with 6 months and 9 months and 1 year. This way you are always working towards a goal. So this is where you can alter your saving. So for example, in my chart that I made, I said that we wanted to put $400 towards your savings. So if by the end of the year you want to have whatever amount in your bank account, divide that back by the amount of weeks or the amount of paychecks that you're going to be receiving, and work out how much money does that mean that you need to put aside every paycheck or every week in order to reach that amount of money. By doing this as well, you'll find yourself spending less money on things that you don't really need. Last but not least is tip number 5, which is save all of your receipts for tax purposes. Again, when I first started working full-time, I didn't really worry about that. I didn't save any receipts, whereas now I'm keeping all of my receipts, and every little thing that I think I can claim some money back on, I'll keep it and put it to a side into a separate folder, so that when it came to my taxes, I already had all of my receipts for my taxes in a folder ready to go. All I had to do was tally the total, send it off, and then wait for my money to come back. This is a great thing to do because then that's extra money that you're also going to be receiving at the end of the year that you can put towards your savings to help you reach your goal. So these are all things that have helped me save $50,000 in 1 year. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!